Good morning, everyone. Thank you to both Steve and Kamala Devi. Just so much heart shared on the dais already today. It feels like there's not much more that really needs to be said in response to the devotion and the joy that we've already got to experience this morning. But alas, as usual, I'm sure I'll find some words to share as well. I just want to start by thanking everybody for weathering the storm and being here today. Last night, my sister, I was raised in Southern California, and my sister and my parents and her family all still live down there. And she sent me a video last night that said, it was a little reel from Instagram, and it said, "Pray for us here living in Southern California. It's been raining for 4 days, which means it's not sunny and 75 degrees, and we don't know what to do with ourselves." And well, we're a bit of a hardier group up here. Nonetheless, I have a perfect view out the window from where I've been sitting over here, and every time I open my eyes, I just seem to be able to just watch the rain falling and this beautiful juniper tree that's going back and forth. And I was thinking, perfectly suited for our conversation today about the divine incarnation of the Avatar. Even weathering the storms and dancing with the wind and the rain, it manifests beauty for us. And so it's just a beautiful, perfect day to be here with all of you. When I first read this reading and started to meditate on and contemplate the incarnation of the divine Avatar, the first thing that came to my mind was a play that a number of us actually here in this room helped to put on a few years ago. In the summer of 2019, I was part of what's called the Living Discipleship Program, which is a 3.5-week program that's hosted at Ananda Village, which is the first Ananda community. It lives at the foothill of the Sierra Nevada mountains, just above Nevada City, and it's a beautiful opportunity because for almost 30 days, you leave your life behind and you stay out at what's called the meditation retreat, which is a rural, beautiful meditation space, and we had classes every day. We meditated long hours together. Our group, there were about 30 of us. I think we had a very large group together, and throughout the course, at the end of these 30 days that we had together, we put on a thank you dinner for everyone who came over to teach us and to celebrate with us and to be a part of that program. And so we not only had a dinner and cooked a meal, but we decided to do a play. And the play that we put on was this story throughout the lives of each of the great avatars behind me on the altar and the moment that they met their guru. And so we started with, although it's not on the altar behind us, we started with Arjuna and Krishna, and how when Krishna awakens from his nap, Arjuna is kneeling at the foot of his bed, and Keshava played the greedy king, his brother, who's waiting there and gets there first and says, well, but no, I was here first. But Krishna says, but I saw Arjuna kneeling at my feet first, so he gets to choose. And of course, for those of us that know the Bhagavad Gita, we go on to hear how he chooses Krishna to drive his chariot instead of all of his warriors, and goes on to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, which is symbolic of the battle that each of us fights. And then we moved on from there, and we had the meeting of Babaji and Jesus, and how they come together just like we hear in the festival each week. And they say that though still lit on lower altars of good works, the noble taper of inner communion with the Lord burns low and is ill attended. And they come together and say, let us unite a new ray of divine consciousness, of inner communion, which then, of course, sets off this beautiful journey. And we have Lahiri called to the mountains to meet his guru Babaji, and the materialization of the Golden Palace. For those of you that have read Autobiography of a Yogi, if I had a whole hour with you, I would go through each story in detail. But then from there, we had Sri Yukteswar, who is called by Babaji to the Kumbh Mela and asked to write a book about the merging of East and West, and ultimately of Yogananda, who meets his guru Sri Yukteswar and bows at his feet. He's walking through a marketplace and he can't move for all of the chaos, and just turns back and sees his guru and just falls at his feet and says, how long I've been waiting for him. And then we actually ended with Swami Kriyananda, who meets his guru Yogananda as well. And this was about a 30-minute play or so, maybe a little bit less than that. But throughout the course or the midst of it, what we began to find Let me just, sorry, I got distracted. Someone's trying to get in, but they'll find their way. What I found at the end of this beautiful play that we put on and that we spent together, there was such upliftment and joy, not for the fun and the time that we'd put into it and the joy of putting it on, but over and over again, one little vignette after another, we were introduced and we were exploring the very essence of why the universe has been created. The universe was created for the meeting of the guru and the disciple. The universe was created for that moment in which, sorry. I'm trying to make a point and I lost my energy. That the universe was created for that specific moment when we, as the individual soul, realize that there is a teacher or a guide, that there is a purpose that can lift us up higher into our true divine right. And so to watch this vignette after vignette after vignette of every single one of these examples of the expression of love that comes down and takes on a human form for the very purpose of bringing you, each one of us individually, to the divine. You know, my friend Saranya, in one of the very first Raja Yoga, Raja Yoga classes I took, she was talking about the class on the Guru, which is one of the chapters and the topics that we read. And she said, just so sweetly, she said, Yogananda came for all of us, but I like to think Yogananda came for me. And it's the very essence of the truth. That's why that beautiful poem and the way that you read it, Steve, just over and over again, we are one. Your laughter, your joy, the ocean, everything comes back to that one knowing, that we are one with the divine, that is our true purpose. And this, of course, is why the avatars come, cloaked in human garb, in human form, and just as our reading tells us, that they laugh and they seemingly suffer along with us so that they can remind us of who we truly are. Because the world is chaotic. You know, I've just been telling all of my friends, I've been listening to this audiobook. It's called Fluke, and I've just been enjoying it. It's one of those books that I've just been devouring. The subtitle underneath it is Chance, Chaos, and the Seeming Randomness of the Universe. And it goes on to talk about how there's all of these incredible chance encounters that have created world wars and have created joyful moments. You know, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it wrapped up in one. And how, like the story I was listening to in the car yesterday, I won't remember all of the specific details, but there was a battle during the Civil War. It was a pivotal battle that the Union needed to win in order to sort of tip the scales in their favor. And there was a Union soldier. They were marching through the South, and they were taking a break. And this one Union soldier was hot and tired, so he seeks out refuge under a tree. And he goes and he walks under the tree, and he lays down, and he finds a piece of paper, and he opens it up. And it's a package, and it has 3 cigars, and it has notes of where the Confederate Army is going to next attack. So he brings it to, this is all a true story based on the book that I'm reading. I didn't verify it, but, and so he brings it to his superior officer, and his superior officer looks at it, because of course, how do you know if something is true or not? And he looks at the piece of paper, and he sees the signature at the bottom of some Confederate soldier, and he says, this is real. And he goes forward, and they set up a way to sort of stop the attack. They win the battle, and what the author of this book was saying that particular battle, winning that battle, was what gave Abraham Lincoln the confidence to 5 days later offer the Emancipation Proclamation. And what's interesting is that the superior officer that the Union soldier brought this piece of paper to, the only reason he knew the signature was real was because before the war, he was a banker. And he had to receive hundreds of checks from this Confederate soldier, this Confederate, I don't know, what's above a soldier? Officer, thank you, Confederate officer. And so he would see hundreds and hundreds of this person's signature over and over again. And that's how he knew it was real. And so the book is coming back and saying, what do we know? What can we possibly know about the nature of the universe? And on the one hand, it's fun years later to look back and to smile and to laugh and say, wow, how wonderful. But the truth is that when we're in the midst of it, when we're experiencing it, that chaos can be jarring. It can be confusing. And that's where this book, I'm only halfway through, so I think it's going on an upward swing. But that's where it's starting for us right now. How do we navigate a world that seems to be randomly collected together of chance encounters and chance moments? And if you're in the right place at the right time, it's going to work out for you, but it might not work out for that person over there. What do we have control over? And of course, I'm enjoying reading this book so much as a yogi, though it has nothing to do with the yogic path at all, because I get to stand there outside of the book and smile and say, well, I know the secret. I have the secret to what we do when it feels like the world is actually built off of randomness. And of course, we know that it's not. And the avatar, the divine incarnation, what Yogananda defines an avatar as, is a superior, supreme divine being who is sent back to earth by God to awaken an entire society and large numbers of souls to their true destiny. And he goes on to say that not all enlightened souls have that power, that the avatar comes back, the master comes back so that he can shake up everything that we think we understand about the universe. And that's why I love this title, The Mystery of the Avatar. Because, of course, the world is such a mysterious place. And if we're stuck in the chaos and moving back and forth of the chance encounters and the seemingly unknown circumstances, then we, just like this juniper tree that I've been watching outside, we get swayed back and forth and back and forth. And if we're living at the very top of that tree, not rooted in our understanding of truth, then it's a pretty chaotic and wild ride. But the deeper that we get down to the very roots, the deeper that we understand the truth of our purpose in life, the more that we can become rooted in and aware of the path that the Guru lays out for us. And how beautiful it is that what the Guru brings us is peace. What the Guru brings us is stillness. What the Guru brings us is that unshaken ability to walk through life knowing that everything is happening, though it's seemingly random, exactly as it's supposed to. And that's where we begin to see, when you look at the world through divine eyes, or through the eyes of a divine aspiration, what you begin to see is the beauty of the patterns that exist all around us. And to the logical mind, it's satisfying. My mind is not logical, so I can't get into quantum physics or numerology, and all of these different things, or even astrology. I don't think numerology is even a word, though we're making it one now. But, to the logical, rational mind, there's beauty in what we can see. But also, to the poet's mind, there's beauty in everything around us and the patterns that exist within us. And the more we know, the more that you learn, the more knowledge that you acquire, the more you begin to see how satisfyingly beautiful and interconnected everything is. Our friend Puneet, some of you may know, and many of you probably got the email. He sent an email to a group of us. I was going to ask James, maybe he still can, to pull it up so that we can see it. I'll tell you what it is. He doesn't know yet. He sent, our friend Puneet sent around this image of the most recent galaxy that has been photographed with the Webb telescope. Many of you, I think, have seen it. If he feels like he can pull it up and put it on the projector, maybe we can see it. But it's miraculous. If you look at this image, which from the head nods, it seems like most of you have. If not, go home and Google it right away. Or I'm a high school English teacher, so I would say don't take your phones out now. But as soon as we're done, take your phones out and Google it. Because this galaxy that is 30 million light years away, I think something like that, when you look at it, it's the spiritual eye. It's exactly what you see at the very center of this galaxy. And when I saw that, I couldn't help but sort of laugh out loud and smile. An entire galaxy full of all of the idiosyncrasies, not just a planet that's containing all of what we here on this planet share together, but the entire galaxy, when zoomed out far enough, it looks like the spiritual eye. How can we not believe that God is holding us, cradling us just in her lap? When I saw that, the first thing that I did is sat down and just started singing in my mind that chant, "Receive me on thy lap, O Mother," because how can you not be comforted when you realize that all of existence within that galaxy is held within the spiritual eye? is held within the point of God realization within each one of us. What could ever go wrong, even amidst the seeming chaos? And if we can hold that, again, it's so easy to look at that when we're talking about a battle that was fought hundreds of years ago or 100 years ago, where we're looking at a galaxy from 30 million light years away and saying, well, whatever's happening on that galaxy doesn't really have much of an effect on me, but what happens here, right now? What happens with the struggles that I'm going through on a daily basis? What happens with the world of chaos that we're looking at? But this, of course, is the very essence of the practice of yoga. Yoga is not to minimize the storms and the trials of the world, but it is to expand our consciousness so that we become not just, I was using this metaphor with some friends in our discipleship class just this last week, and if you think about a wonderful, crazy storm that's happening out on the ocean and you're a little tiny sailboat, what happens with that sailboat? You get tumbled over again and again in the great giant waves. But if you're a cargo ship, you're crashing through those waves, you're riding up and down them. It's not that there isn't the chaos, it's not that you're not going through all of those difficulties, but as we expand our consciousness, we become aware that we can weather them. We become aware that we are big enough to handle and to absorb whatever it is that Divine Mother hands us. Yogananda once said that everything that happens to you in your life, imagine that it is a present, that Divine Mother, that God is just handing to you, and that you're opening it. Can we be grateful for everything? This is the great test of the yogi. Can we be grateful for everything that happens to us in our lives? And the way that we learn to expand our consciousness, there it is. Isn't that amazing? It's just a spiritual eye right in the very center of the galaxy. That's Divine Mother holding each one of us. And I have no doubt that somewhere on that galaxy, if someone has a telescope and they're looking at us, probably looks exactly the same. Because all of the world, and this is where I was speaking to the logical mind and to the poet, how can you not see the beauty in the patterns that exist within us? And when we begin to see that, how can we not feel that interconnected web? You know, one of my favorite stories that I love to tell with my students is I always ask them what the largest living organism on the planet is, and they always go for whales and this and that, and I actually looked it up today. It used to be an aspen grove that was acres long. It's now a bed of fungus, but it's called honey fungus, but we're going to go with the aspen groves because they're more beautiful. And so the second largest living organism on the planet is this beautiful grove of aspens that are interconnected under the surface, under the ground. They grab onto one another, they link their roots together so that they can communicate, so that they can support each other. And if one tree isn't getting the nutrients it needs, it has brothers and sisters rushing in to help it. And not only this, other trees within a forest, there's so much we can learn from trees. In the forest, what trees do underneath the surface of, the land, they communicate to each other. And so trees are always working with one another, even if they're not the same species. And this is the example that the Guru brings to us. This is what spiritual community looks like. This is what it means to weather those tests and to come all the way back to where we started and the importance of the avatar and the divine incarnation. It cannot be done without the support of the Guru. This is Swami Kriyananda was once asked, do I need a guru? And he said, no, you don't need a guru, but if you want to find God, you need a guru. Because the Guru brings the clarity. The Guru brings the omniscient knowing of everything past, present, and future. Everything exists within the lap and the cradle of the Guru. And so every time we stumble, every time we have to pick ourselves up again, the Guru is there guiding us with the wisdom, with the joy, with the knowing that we are, just as this beautiful poem tells us, that we are one with the divine. And so it's not simply, for so long, even I would say 1 week ago, before I really sat with and contemplated this reading and what the mystery of the avatar, the divine incarnation is, I always felt there was a little bit of separateness, that my job was to worship, that my job was to bow at the feet and to absorb and to learn all that I could from the Guru, but that's where the relationship ended. And of course, we hear it over and over and over again, but I hope you can hear it differently today, as I did, that this is exactly what Jesus says to us when he says, to all that received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God. That what the Guru is showing us is our own destiny, not simply our potential. He's showing us, or she's showing us, who we already are, if we're willing to reach up and grab it, if we're willing to listen, to hear, and to know truth. And the way that we can begin to do this is to step outside of the randomness, to look just one step further for the beauty, for the patterns beneath everything, to recognize that everything is a gift from the divine, and to know without a doubt that the Guru is always guiding us, that the Guru is always walking side by side with us, telling us what our next step is if we're open and if we're listening. How lucky we are to even hear the term avatar, to even understand and to know, to be sitting in this room looking at the images of great avatars, great gurus who have come before us to show us the way. And each one of them bowed at the feet of Divine Mother, incarnated in the form of one of these great masters. Each one of them brings us closer to our truth. God bless you.
When we need you, you descend, seeking grieving hearts to mend. By hate unaffected, you remain our friend. On a cross rejected, doomed to meet a shame
so all of us together can create a better land. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all to understand. There's a morning for every nation when the sun's high in the sky. There's a time for every people to affirm their destiny. La 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 la. Even so, all of us together can create a better land. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all who understand. La 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 la. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for